This is John Drake Jr. He's wanted for shooting 2 Laverne officers on Saturday.
John Drake Jr. is the son of Metro Police Chief John Drake. The chief says he hopes his son is found and held accountable.
Valeria East is pleading with her son, John Drake Jr., to turn himself into authorities.
I'd rather see him locked up than that I have to bury him.
That's her biggest fear because he's now been on the run since Saturday.
The 4-day search for John C. Drake Jr., who was wanted after a shooting that left 2 police officers wounded, ended Tuesday night after he was found unalive in Nashville, according to official reports. John Jr., who was on the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation's most wanted list, was found deceased from what appeared to be a self-inflicted gunshot wound. To make matters more tense, John Jr. was Nashville Police Chief John Drake's estranged son, with whom he did not have no contact with in years, according to the chief. Over the course of the manhunt, there were so many questions as to how a police chief's son could turn so cold and violent when his father dedicated his life to protect and serve. Police Chief John Drake is a native of Nashville, Tennessee, and was raised by a blind father who he said was excellent dad in person. Chief Drake would express how his father played a very important part in his life as far as being a good man and had a great childhood. He was the average kid playing around the neighborhood all the time and made lifelong friends. He would go on to say he had other mentors as he grew up that also took him under their wing, like neighbors and coaches. Chief Drake said that he used to walk to school with 3 other kids and that all of them ended up in prison. So he credits those mentors he had because they didn't have to care about him. From an early age, he had a desire to help other people and make changes in the community. Chief Drake was hired at the police department on March 16, 1988, and graduated from the academy by October of that same year. He would go on to Bethel University while a police officer and still graduate summa cum laude. He was the top of his class with all A's, scoring the highest achievement. Officer Drake at the time would start his career doing different things within the police department. He worked in investigations, narcotics, and police athletic league. In 2007, he took a promotional exam and got promoted to sergeant, eventually captain and field supervisor for a short period of time. Sergeant Drake then became the first ever male captain over the domestic violence division and eventually commander over the central precinct. It was up from there. A man so distinguished and thoughtful, whose namesake just was completely opposite. What could have happened in Junior's childhood that caused him to spiral down the wrong path, ultimately leading to his demise? Chief Drake said his son resorted to years of criminal activities, starting in his teens. According to the criminal court clerk records, it shows he's been criminally charged 59 times in Davidson County since 2005. Any juvenile files would be sealed, and the first adult charge was theft of $500 or less in October 2005. There was domestic bodily injury in 2007 in February, and aggravated burglary, resisting and evading arrest in July of 2007, and assault of domestic bodily injuries and criminal impersonation, October 2007. That's just to name some of the charges. Plus 3 different sex offender violations in October 2015, May 2019, and May 2020. The night before the alleged shooting to the 2 police officers, John Jr. was involved in a domestic violence incident with his fiancée, according to an arrest report. Police said on October 21st, Metro Nashville Police Department officers responded to the Laverne Police Department to speak with Junior's fiancée about a domestic assault that occurred on the night of October 20th on Carroll Street. The victim told officers she and Drake Jr. have an extensive domestic violence history together. She said on October 20th, he slapped her in the face, hit her in the head, and grabbed her chin with force, according to the reports. When officers asked her to clarify the events of the assault that occurred, she said she is unable to recall the specifics due to the repetitive nature of the assault. She said since it happened every day, the events blur together. She told officers that she was terrified of Junior and believed he would unalive her. She declined to press charges against him due to her fear of his possible retaliation. Police believe that the incident doesn't appear to be directly related to the events of October 21st. However, it looks like his criminal activity was going to be taken to new heights when he would shoot two police officers on Saturday, October 21st, 2023. According to reports, the two officers were called to the Dollar General in the 600 block of Stone River Road shortly before 2 p.m. to investigate a stolen vehicle flagged by the city's license plate reader software. According to authorities, the officers ended up in a struggle with the man, who pulled out a handgun and fired at the officers. Further reports would say that one of the officers had been with the department for nearly 3 years and suffered a gunshot wound to the rear left shoulder, and the other officer, about 18 months, was shot in the right groin and right forearm. The injured officers were identified on Sunday, October 22nd, as Officers Ashley Boljak and Officers Gregory Kearns. Ashley was released from Vanderbilt University Medical Center Saturday, while Gregory was kept overnight for observation, even though he was in stable condition, the city announced Sunday morning. However, by Sunday afternoon, Kearns was also released from the hospital. Junior's dad, Chief Drake, will release a statement saying, "I am shocked and deeply saddened to learn that my estranged son, with whom I have very minimal contact over the years, despite my efforts and guidance in his early and teenage years, my son, John Drake Jr., now 38 years old, resorted to years of criminal activity and is a convicted felon. He has not been a part of my life for quite some time. He now needs to be found and held accountable for his actions today." Now there was a manhunt to find Junior, and his own mother will go on the news and plead with him to turn himself in because she did not want to bury her son.
I just want him to turn himself in. And I hope he sees this, and I hope he knows that I'll be right there. So I always am.
Our Danielle Jackson just spoke with her.
So Danielle, what did she have to say tonight?
Well, Tracy and Mari, she says it's been very hard to eat and sleep because she's constantly thinking about where her son is and what's going on in his mind. She shared with me she doesn't understand why he did this, but wants him to take accountability and make it out of this situation alive.
Come home. I need him to call and turn himself in. That's exactly what I want him to do.
Valeria East is pleading with her son, John Drake Jr., to turn himself into authorities.
I'd rather see him locked up than I have to bury him.
That's her biggest fear because he's now been on the run since Saturday.
He's never done anything like this, so I don't know what, made him want to do this. And then he just took off running and he's just gone. I don't want him to be a fugitive.
Valeria says he's had issues with drugs in the past and hasn't always made the best decisions by hanging with the wrong crowd, but would have never imagined anything like this. He's been charged 59 times since 2005 in Davidson County, most recently with violating community supervision and domestic assault.
I just don't want people to think he's a danger to people, because he's not. He's running because he's scared.
The last time she saw her son was a week ago. She says he would always come over and visit.
Just waiting and praying.
Meanwhile, she's holding on to hope that he will show up and do the right thing.
By Tuesday, October 24th, John Jr. stole a car at gunpoint. Police responded to the area of Thompson Place and Patricia Drive and chased the gold Chrysler 200 to the 1400 block of 15th Avenue South in Nashville's Edge Hill neighborhood. On 15th Avenue South, Jr. crashed the car and fled from the vehicle into a shed behind a residence, according to police. While the officers were surrounding the residence to contain the shed, a gunshot was heard, and it appeared he took his own life.
Well, the son of Nashville police chief wanted for reportedly shooting and injuring two Laverne police officers on Saturday is dead. Peyton Kennedy live from the Edge Hill neighborhood where the multi-day manhunt ended. She spoke with the neighbor who witnessed it all. Peyton, good morning.
Yeah, police pursuit ended here on 15th Avenue South after John Drake Jr. crashed a car he reportedly stole at gunpoint and ran into a shed behind this home. Metro Police say just after 6 p.m. last night, Drake Jr. approached people at a home on Antioch Pike and asked them for a ride. When they said no, we're told he demanded their Chrysler at gunpoint and drove away in it. Now you're looking at video of that Chrysler after police spotted it in South Nashville, pursued it, and it crashed here in Edge Hill. Now this is the shed Drake Jr. reportedly hid in afterward. The TBI says authorities heard a muffled gunshot from the shed and found Drake Jr. dead inside from what appeared to be a self-inflicted wound.
The District Attorney General requested the Tennessee Bureau of Investigations to handle the investigation until John C. Drake Jr.'s unaliving, and a full autopsy will be performed as part of the process. Jr.'s father, as chief of Nashville, prayed for a peaceful outcome and said he was heartbroken and saddened. He would express that he was grateful to the members of law enforcement, including many officers who worked diligently since Saturday to locate his son and bring him into custody. It was his prayer that no harm would come to his son, and appreciates the condolences and kind words of support for his family as they privately mourn the loss of Jr. Jr.'s mother said before his side that he did call her and say, "I love you," and she replied, "I love you too," and that was the entire phone call. How heartbreaking for her to see her child just throw his life away that way. I can only imagine the pain and sorrow he put her through. This is a very sad ending for a troubled soul. Many say if you are raised right with morals and values, you will do right, but that is not always the case. My deepest thoughts are with all the families involved and for a speedy recovery for the 2 officers who were shot. So please comment your thoughts and prayers for this family and everyone involved in this very difficult time, and hit that like button to share. Make your people aware, and as always, remember, stay woke. Things change quickly.